So, hello, Kathy. Lovely to speak with you today. If you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you first arrived at Springfield.
Oh, right. Well, that was a long time ago. Yeah, my name is Kathy, and I actually have had quite a lot of treatment for anorexia on and off over maybe 30 years. But the first time that I arrived in Springfield would have been approximately 20 years ago.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Yes, it is.
It's a long time.
My most recent treatment, I mean, there was a gap in between, thank God. But my recent was about 3 years ago, and I must say it's been the most successful, and I'm feeling, it's kind of part of my past now.
Oh, good. That's really good to hear. Oh, yeah. Good. And then in terms of your own words, in your own words, how would you describe the Lived Experience project?
Well, I would say that it's really sort of rounding out the nurse's experience, the nursing training, because you get, as it were, from the horse's mouth what the patient's experience is or might be. So, I mean, pretty much it's like you're not working with dummies, you're not working with, just computers and whiteboards, You're actually
working
got
with
a flesh and blood feeling.
First hand, yeah.
Yeah, a person in front of you who's going to give you their experience.
Yeah. So when did you first hear about the project, and what was it in particular that made you think, I really want to be part of this project, I want to get involved, I want to showcase my experience and help other people learn from it?
Right, well, you better ask Scott when it started.
All right, we'll get the dates. 18
months ago.
Yeah.
That's my wild guess. Because it got held up due to COVID, of course, and hats off to Scott. He's persevered through it. But yes, I remember telling our stories in Roehampton. It was in the summer, and what I immediately wanted to do it when I heard about it, because my passion really is actually eating disorder training.
Yeah.
Helping anything to do with eating disorder treatment.
Yeah.
And I met Scott years ago actually in eating disorders when he was working there. For everything that I've been through and all the treatment I've had, I've just really want it to be used for good.
Yeah, it's nice as well. What I think coming into this project, I think it's really nice that you're given the opportunity to almost give back in a way. So you've had your experience there, and you're able to help the nurses learn in terms of things that you found really effective, things that you didn't find so effective. I think the whole project is very beneficial, and I'm glad that people who've actually been in Springfield are able to see the benefits of it as well, and are just as enthusiastic as Scott and Joanne.
Yeah.
And
it's a really collaborative sense, because everybody's enthusiastic all together.
Yeah, they are. They're excited to get it off the ground. In terms of benefits, what do you think the main benefits of taking part in this project are?
Do you mean for the students?
For you and for the students, yeah.
Yeah, for both.
For both.
Well, for instance, the students can just fire all their questions at you.
That's true.
What they might have been wondering, or what they might have not even maybe had a suitable answer for in their teaching or even in their research. You know what I mean? You could be Googling the answer to things, but there's nothing like talking to somebody who's got the experience of it.
No, of course. Again, like what you said, from the horse's mouth. I think that's a very good phrase.
Yeah.
And would you say that there's been any disadvantages of taking part? Is there anything that you didn't enjoy or wish had been done differently? Or even just the structure, if you thought maybe something could have been done, you know, that session was fun, but they could have included this or anything like that?
I think it's quite important that the students prepare themselves, because I know, I mean, you know, I wouldn't want to call out anybody, but there are a couple of students who I felt, you know, they just sort of wandered in, and
yeah, I understand.
It was a contrast because the other two had really prepared their questions.
Yeah, so almost making sure that people are, you know, aware that you're, for you, not only for you, but for them it was a disadvantage if they don't make the most of it in preparation. So maybe focusing on preparation before the session so that you can get the most, and the students are able to get the most as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because I mean, I could waffle on, so it might not be what they need to hear, do you know?
Yes, completely.
Both ways. I mean, it's good, like, the telling the story bit is good, but, I mean, I could even, you know, as a lived experience person, I could even tailor the talk to what their questions are.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. So maybe if you knew, so maybe in the future, if they were submitting their questions before a session, that might be work better, because you'll know that they've prepared. You'll be able to have your answers prepared in order to give them the best answers possible.
That is one way forward. Yeah, good idea, Megan. Yeah. But not necessarily, but it is
it's a possible. We'll look into it. I'm sure that would be something Scott would be really happy to look into.
Yeah.
And then my other question is, so you've obviously said you've had lots of benefits. Would you recommend taking part in more projects like this to other people who've also been in Springfield?
Yeah, I've already got one friend who's, you know, down for his next cohort. Oh. I think it's fantastic, and she's really keen to do it as well, because she's a bit like me. She just wants to, what's the right word?
Spread the word.
So, eating disorder treatment, anything to help with that, you know, which obviously, you know, I've got that particular bias towards that, but generally, you know, mental health.
Yeah, completely. And where you've obviously been in Springfield for an eating disorder, I guess someone else who's been in for something else could specialise their own experience. Everyone's different experience could specialise, help the students specialise in different sections.
Absolutely, yeah, and they could call on us whenever they wanted to if there was a particular
topic that they were. Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. Yeah. And then, how would you like to see the project used on a wider scale? Do you think? Have you got any ideas about that, or any way that you think maybe we could expand this? We could implement more people or anything like that.
Well, I mean, for instance, nationally, now that everybody is completely au fait with technology, it seems so much easier, you know.
That's very true.
In a national sense. But also I've been reading about, you know, GP practices, and this is pretty serious stuff, because with especially after the pandemic, but I mean, waiting lists are at an all-time high for any specialist sort of treatment, and there's a great need for training GPs and, say, practice nurses in mental health, you know, mental health training.
Yeah, completely. And even if in the future you were able to almost run these sessions on your own. If there was a group of you with your lived experience that were, setting up a group on a Thursday evening for people who maybe were dealing with the same problems that you dealt with, and like an independent thing almost, to where it'd be community based and you were able to support one another. That would be, obviously that's a while in the future, but stuff like that where you could get it going on a bigger scale rather than just
there is a great
groups.
need of that, support groups for
Completely.
people. But from Scott's training point of view, I don't know what kind of access he might have into primary care, so but it's needed in primary
very
care.
much needed. That leads me on to that final question, which is, do you believe that lived experience should be almost a compulsory part of nursing training?
I would go so far as to say yes. For mental health nursing training, yes, because it's very nuanced, isn't it? It's not like, you got your broken leg and you can examine a patient to see how that's going to be fixed, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But
so complex.
And it needs to be expressed, and talked about. So yes, I think it's extremely important.
So do I. I think you're very right in saying that. I think, of course, why would you not want to be more hands-on, and especially with a topic that is so complex. It varies so much, so much depending on each person and the environment and the situation. So I think the more you have first-hand experience, the more it's going to be beneficial when you do actually qualify and you're working, within the hospital on a daily basis.
And you can just pick their brains, like they're there for you to...
It's very true. It's almost an advantage over mental health, having the mental health section, because you wouldn't say almost with a physical illness, it may be you're not necessarily always going to recover the same, whereas mental health, obviously, that you can have your treatment and your time, and then, like you said today, you look at it as a thing of the past. You're like a survivor almost.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm completely, clear.
No, of course. But
I'm in a different place, so I'm looking back on it, and I've got more of an overview of it than being stuck in it.
Yeah, which is really good. Really pleased to hear. Well, that's about all of my questions. You've been really great, very chatty, very easy to talk to, and I think that the people listening I think the people listening to this as well are really gonna, benefit from your feedback, and I think you'll definitely have encouraged a few more people to take part in projects like this.
It's very enjoyable, and also, the team aspect of it when we're together in a group. Obviously it's all been on Teams meetings recently, but when we were actually in the room in Roehampton, it was a very supportive environment. It was good.
No, it is. It sounds like there has really been a lot of benefits, and I think your feedback will definitely encourage more people, hopefully, to take part and hopefully grow the project on a wider scale.
Well, I just certainly, wish them all the best with it. It's brilliant. Yes.